We're ready? All right. Okay, last call for seats. All right. Well, I want to welcome everyone here today. My name is Nayaswami Fremont McGilloway. My wife, Padma McGilloway. We're the spiritual directors here at Ananda for Ananda's work in Western Washington. And this is, I'm going to hold this. It's a day of great joy for us because this has been the long-awaited completion, the yoga hall here, of the original site plan, which we'll be talking about. And for the sake of some of you who might be here for the first time, some of our neighbors, some of our friends and others, I thought I'd just say a little bit about who we are, just in case you don't know. We represent the worldwide work of Ananda. Ananda is Sanskrit, and it refers to that innate joy that we all possess within ourselves without any condition, which meditation and yoga is highly specialized and effective in having us access on a daily basis to know that we are safe and secure and can be creative and joyful no matter what. And we have here today two aspects to our work worldwide, but I'm just going to talk about here for now. And these two buildings that are here are very symbolic of the two aspects of what we do. The building next door, the meditation temple as we call it, represents meditation, and this building, yoga. And meditation represents for us the inner spiritual search, which is personal to many people, and for whom that symbolizes that personal effort and practice and aspiration spiritually. But yoga is for everyone. Meditation is for everyone as well. But yoga principally works with, of course, the body as a doorway to the spirit. And we all know it's very, very popular. So the second aspect of the worldwide work of yoga is completely open and universal, non-sectarian by its very nature. You don't need to believe in anything to practice yoga or meditation for that matter. But it's the commitment and the self-sacrifice, the devotion and dedication of those here in Western Washington who have committed their lives to the spiritual search, who have made these buildings possible. There is no way, no amount of yoga classes could possibly build a facility like this based on the mere fact of income. So this exists because people are dedicated to sharing the precepts of yoga, which are by nature universal. And certainly I think we all would agree that the need for a new lifestyle on our planet, to live in harmony with our environment, with our neighbors, to accept people of different faiths, different races, etc., to be inclusive in our thinking. These are all some of the things, sustainability of how we live our life and the resources we consume on our planet. This is why yoga is spreading like wildfire throughout the world, because people of sensitivity recognize the need for a new lifestyle. If the world imitates America's culture and lifestyle, we're doomed. We need a new way of thinking with simplicity of living and high ideals, and that's what this represents, to be able to share with people. By way of simple background, in the yoga world, there are different branches of yoga, like so many other things in the world, and the branch of yoga we represent was founded by Paramahansa Yogananda, whose life story, Autobiography of a Yogi, is now a spiritual classic in over 30 languages and has been read by millions of people, and a great inspiration to people everywhere, no matter where their lives bring them. So that has been our inspiration. And one of the students and disciples of Yogananda, who lived in America until 1952, J. Donald Walters, who later took the name Swami Kriyananda, he is the founder of Ananda as a work unto itself. The heart of the work is communities, intentional communities, both rural and urban, and we have 9 throughout the world, including one quite nearby here. So this is who we are, this is what we do. Our sustainability and outreach includes teaching children. We have the Living Wisdom School. There are a number of them in the world, and ours is currently in Shoreline, and next month we'll move to its new location at the former facility of the Brighton School in Linwood. Many of you might know that. We have a farm on Camino Island where we practice permaculture farming, no-till farming, natural farming, fruits and vegetables, and we do what we call the subscriber farm, what do we call it? CSA, thank you. Many of us subscribe to the farm, prepay in February, and get our box every week of fresh items and so forth during the summer. We have a thrift store that supports the school right on 15th there before it reaches Ballinger Way. And then, perhaps most well known to you, is the East-West Bookshop, which has started in the late 80s and very much represents our affirmation towards universality. We have speakers and presenters from all traditions there, books, and supportive gifts of beauty and consciousness there. And this, what I just described here, is replicated places like Portland and California, several cities in Europe and Italy, and throughout major cities of India itself. So this is a worldwide work, and it's a worldwide work that invites and includes all people. So Padma?
Okay. I just want to say that even though we don't want to duplicate the current lifestyle of America, it's only in America that things like this are actually happening and flourishing because of our openness, which is why Yogananda came to this country, because there's such progressive thinking. It's just that we get it a little bit out of whack when we start running too fast, don't we? So I wanted to just mention that today we are graced with some very special guest speakers who will introduce to you shortly, and we'll say a few words. And then we're going to actually start the program in a moment with some music, and then at the end of the program we'll have a special treat and have some yoga asana demonstrations. And so the music we're about to hear was composed by our founder, Swami Kriyananda, and our choir has 3 pieces to present to you. Please come on up.
dawn breaks and then the morning sets the sun high in the sky. Who would hide from heaven's glory? Who would pass the challenge by? La 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 la.
There's a morning for every nation when the sun's high in the sky. There's a time for every people to affirm their destiny. La 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 la.
Even so, all of us together can create a better land. Leave the past, a new tomorrow waits for all who understand.
There's a morning for every nation when the sun's high in the sky. There's a time for every people to affirm their destiny. La 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 la. La 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 la. Even so, all of us together can create a better land. Leave the past, a new tomorrow waits for all who understand. La 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 la. Leave the past, a new tomorrow waits for all who understand. There's joy in the heavens, a smile on the mountains, and melody sings everywhere. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air. Leave home in the sunshine, dance through a meadow, or sit by a stream and just be. The lilt of the water will gather your worries and carry them down to the sea. The lilt of the water will gather your worries and carry them down to the sea. Men hunger for freedom but don't see their dungeon. It's only the thought that they're bound. Desires of their shackles, the hope that tomorrow the doorway to joy will be found. Desires of their shackles, the hope that tomorrow the doorway to joy will be found. There's joy all around us, why wait till tomorrow? We've only this moment to live. The heaven within us is ours for the finding, a freedom no riches can give. A heaven within us is ours for the finding, a freedom no riches can give. There's joy in the heavens, a smile on the mountains, and melody sings everywhere. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning.
like to begin the brief segment where we express our gratitude to those who made this beautiful new yoga hall possible. And we would be absolutely nowhere without the first person. We would be nowhere without any of the people I'm going to mention, but I'm going to start with this one. The lady I'm about to describe to you stepped forth, stepped up to bat when we started to build that beautiful temple building next door and agreed to be the project coordinator. What that means is that she was acting like a liaison between the contractor, the architect, and all of us at Ananda who were the client. Luckily, she had a degree in poli-science before she got to this job because she needed it. And then, of course, there was the interface with the city of Bothell and all the permits and all the work that went into that unique building. And so when we were about to start on this building, bless her heart, she was willing to step up to bat again. They say a donkey doesn't kick himself on the same stone 3 times. So luckily we just have 2 buildings. She did an amazing job, and all volunteer, I should mention, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, sleepless nights. I have to thank her husband, too, for sharing her with us. Her children aren't home anymore, or else I'd thank them also. I see some of them here. I see both of them here, in fact. So, without further ado, I'd like to offer our gratitude to Michelle David.
For this gift. What I want to say is the gratitude is really mine that I was given this opportunity. I don't know how it got to me, but it got to me. First of all, with the first building, but then again with this building, it really is something to be able to serve in this way. And I'm really fortunate that I did have those hours that I could give. Thanks to my husband being able to, not having to be out at another job. And so I really, all of these kinds of ways of serving are amazing opportunities for not just personal growth, but deep spiritual growth as well. And this was no different. So what I want to do is acknowledge all of the other people along with me, because yes, I was coordinating, but who I was coordinating with tons and tons of you. And I want to I can't begin to mention all of the names of all of the people that were involved in big and little ways, but I do want to just specifically mention a few of you. The rest of you all know who you are. You know, when we do something like this, we really know it's going to be an adventure from the beginning, and it was. And along with adventure often comes challenges, and so I relied on so many of you as those challenges arose. And I want first of all, I mean, before we even got to the challenges, we had to get a design for this building. So I want to be sure that we remember Panduranga, J.T. Heater, our architect. He's from Ananda Village in California, and he could not be here today, but believe me, he was with us from start to finish remotely, and came up several times, helping us, first of all, coming up, taking the vision that we've always had putting it onto paper, putting it into architectural drawings, and helping shepherd it through the city and getting all of the various permits, and then on to working with our contractor and solving all of these issues that would come up, just from all the way through things we had to keep calling JT, and he was always there for us. So I just want to be sure that we all remember him in all of this. Another very important person for us along the way was Catherine Links. She is our in-house designer, and she willingly stepped up at the very beginning of this process to begin to help us work through all of the questions of interior finishes. So when you look around and see all the parts, all the pieces of beauty around here, think of Catherine's hand in all of this. She just was a phenomenal resource. Please now take a moment to look down. We don't normally advise that, but look down at the floor. This is cork floor for anyone who doesn't know that yet. This was a big decision that we had to make. And without Cheryl Jacobs, who's a flooring expert, we might not have gotten there. She worked with us to move through all of the issues about what it would mean to have this floor for the multiple uses. But for those of you who haven't been to a yoga class, I highly recommend you come, and you'll have lots of opportunities starting right now to actually practice on this surface. It's a great surface for yoga. So please do come and try it out. Dee Sanders, our landscape architect, worked miracles. In the middle of torrential downpours in December, very cold, very dark, she managed somehow or other to get all of these work crews coming out here on ever-changing schedules as needed, for it to fit into everything that we were trying to accomplish. She got these crews out to put in irrigation, to build retaining walls, to put in the foundational landscaping that we have out there. And truly, it was amazing. I mean, there she was at her full-time job, and somehow or other, she'd get the crew out tomorrow. So we are ever grateful for her. And there's Damon Thompson, our painter extraordinaire, being called back to add this little thing and go paint that over there and take a look at that fascia board, and I'll still be calling him with touch-up issues that we have. So he did a great job for us. And Sarah Holland, our electrical consultant. Even though we had, the electrical sub and all of that, he must have dreaded going to his computer in the morning, because there were often, Cerritos, help us figure out, what should we do here? What about that? But he was wonderful, and down to helping me, look at the color of these light bulbs. That's really important. Behind the door here, a gorgeous commercial kitchen. And we worked with our magnificent chefs that we have here at Ananda, a whole team of them, Vaughn and Chandi and Randa and Lisa and others, to really consult with them on what the design of that would be, how it would function, what the equipment would be. They were great, have been tremendous at helping us pull all that together. Building projects make big messes and have all kinds of random little tasks that need to happen along the way. So in support of our contractor, we put together a cleanup team, and it was headed variously at various times by Christy Johnson and by David Page and Matt Stickney, and many other people came along on call just to come and do something, clean the windows, sweep this, clean up that, put up backing for shelves, things like that. So they were just right there all the time, and thank you all. There's many more, in the office, out of the office, and I'm sorry I can't take the time to name every one of you, but we couldn't have done it without you. But design, architect, Sangha, energy, we still wouldn't have a building without one particular key person. And that person, somehow or other, we found our way to this person. This person was brought to us when we were getting ready to build our meditation temple next door. We felt really, really blessed to have him join us in our efforts. And lo and behold, once again, he was willing to come back and work with us, yay, to build this building. And I would like to ask Nick to come up. Has become a very, very dear friend to all of us. He's a fantastic contractor. He's a general contractor. I mean, you know the big wheel down along the waterfront? Yeah. We all know that, right? He took a break from rides and things like that to come back the second time. Anyway, he's just a really wonderful person, and I hope that you will all take a moment before you leave to come up and greet him, meet him. Look at how calm he is. Now imagine this calmness in the midst of everything going on here, inspectors coming in and saying, and issues, challenges arising. Talk about actively calm and calmly active. Really very, very patient. I don't know what he's like at home, Lisa, but you know, here he's great. And all of the work that he did, always looking out for us, always taking care of us, and don't know why that's happening, but making sure that all of the work was done to the highest standards and with great integrity. And we are ever grateful for that he's come into our Sangha and has been here to work on these projects with us, is a dear friend and will remain so forever. And we want to thank you all very much.
Thank you. It was a great opportunity to be able to come back and work on this building and work with everybody. Michelle was absolutely great to work with again. She was my go-between everybody here and the city, and it was a very challenging project. I thought from the beginning that it was going to be a slam dunk compared to the temple. Well, the economy boosted up, and we couldn't find contractors, we couldn't get permits, and the city was going through major changes, which made it more difficult to get the project going. But we finally got it going, and I can't take all the credit myself. The subcontractors, many of them who worked on the temple, came over and helped, and there were some structural issues, and David Bradley, who's a member, I believe, was really helpful with me and the design side of it and the structural side of it. So he was worked really good with JT and David, and that worked out really well. We had some difficulties with the fire sprinkler systems, and Smith Fire came to the plate and helped me design a system, and Hardline Construction came in and helped put the system in. And they were new to the group, and they were really helpful. Alexander Electric did the electrical. He did the temple over there. He did a great job, really came to the plate and really conscientious about wanting to give you guys what you really wanted, and really wanted to do the right thing. Devin, KGI, the sheetrocker came in. He was the one that did the temple next door. And when he did the temple next door, he was a very challenging sub. Now he was really good to work with. After the temple, I didn't think he'd ever come back to work for me. Exterior stucco was a newer contractor, Tybor. He did a great job, very conscientious about the detail of the building and the look of the building and making sure that everything was done just right. And I think he did a great job. Team Mechanical came back and did the mechanical system and for the HVAC. And I think they did what they said they were going to do. They did a great job, and they're a really good group of people to work with. And Authentic Construction, John Skinner did the framing, and several other people that I probably didn't mention that I should. But as one good team, we finally pulled the team together and went through all the challenges, got everything done, and all the way to the last minute. And it was changing all the time. So I'd like to thank you again for the opportunity to build the building for you, and it was a great experience. Thank you.
At least he didn't take one big step down. I'm going to be brief here, but I did want to also acknowledge all of you, many of you. I see a sea of faces out there. We put the word out in November of 2014 that perhaps it was time to begin this part of the project. It was always in the original plan, and now was the time we wanted to see. Ouch. Where's Buddy? We wanted to see if there was enough interest out there, if we could borrow the money amongst ourselves. And we did just a few letters to people, and instantly we had all the money we needed in loans, so we didn't even need to go to a bank. Okay, Mr. Buddy, help me out here. I could turn it off and then just talk loud. So that was 1.2 million in loans. We didn't know what we would need, but we had that much to work with, thank God. And then in November we had an event, and many of you here pledged to help us pay those loans. And we got the first 3 years of pledges, and that gave us the confidence to get started. Of course, that leaves us still with another 12 years to go. But as we have always seen, these things will have a way of working out, and we all pull together. Our theme is many hands make a miracle. For those of you who may not have had the opportunity, this is not the purpose of this event, but we do have these in the foyer if you would still like to participate with that. But mainly today we just want to thank you all, because here it is, the fruit of all those labors. And as part of all this, what got us started was these incredible two people, members who now are living in Ananda Village in California, that lived with us here for many years. Thankfully, they still have a home in our community, so we get to keep them as part of this family as well. And they had the vision way, way back in the late 90s. They had very little money at the time, and they went with us once to Assisi, and they saw the beautiful temple, which is what we patterned this one after. And they loved it so much they kept a picture of it on their altar, and they really believed in tithing. And they kept up with the spirit of tithing with the hope that someday we'd have such a temple. At the time we had a rented retail store, front in Seattle in the Roosevelt district. And so one thing led to another, and they sold their business and had a very, very large payment on that. And from the tithe of that, we had the seed money to start that temple. And of course, it ended up costing 4 times that. We didn't realize it at the time, but everyone pitched in, and they kept pitching in also. And the whole beautiful project got started, which is why we have the blessing to be here today. And so everything takes instruments, and when we all work together, these things can happen.
So I wanted to introduce them briefly, but then Willow Kusher. Willow was also our first yoga teacher training teacher here at Ananda. So welcome to
Well, I just wanted to share that it's been such a privilege and a blessing to be part of just a flow of divine grace. I mean, we've seen it from the very start, from the manifestation of that business to the individuals that stepped forward, the vision that everyone had, finding a site for the temple, thinking we found the site, and Divine Mother saying, no, I don't think that's the site. And here we land at this absolutely gorgeous spot, perfect for the temple. The design of the temple, trying to figure out how we're going to maximize the use of the land, and ending up with the design that we had with the temple slightly elevated. And I come here and see the relationship with this beautiful yoga hall, and it's just perfection, you know. And you could not have seen that, you know, no individual I think could have seen that at the outset. And yet here we are, guided by Divine Mother's hand, and in the midst of this beauty and this wonder, and I'm just thankful to have played any part in it. Thank you.
An architect encouraged Yogananda, whose teachings we follow here at Ananda, to immortalize his teachings in architecture. And this is what has been accomplished on this site, is our two beautiful buildings that really speak to what the teachings are here at Ananda. Teachings of aspiration, teachings of peace, of joy, of love. And it's not just the architecture. The design is one thing, but it's the consciousness that imbues these buildings. And that building of consciousness is something that began at the beginning with just the inception of the idea, through the design process, through the hands of the people that orchestrated the projects, the builders, and it continues with each one of us every time we come into the building. What you feel, or what you felt the first time you stepped into the building, what others will step in and feel, is a result of a magnetism of consciousness, that we infuse these buildings with joy, we infuse these buildings with peace. We wipe our feet before we walk into the temple. We leave the worldliness behind, and we allow ourselves to step out of the mundane and rise above. And it's that quality that we offer, each one of us. Every time we step into this building, we leave our consciousness in. It imbues the space. We've all been in buildings that have felt empty of spirit, no matter how beautiful they are. And that's your continued role in being part of this wonderful Sangha, is to continue to offer your love, your peace, because it's that which people will feel when they're inspired to come to these buildings that have immortalized the teachings of Yogananda. I am infinitely blessed to have been part of this project, and just thank you all.
Buddy, do I dare? You know, I think all this happened because we didn't thank Buddy for doing all this.
We have some amazing guests of honor with us here today, and I want to start with Senator Rosemary McAuliffe. Senator McAuliffe came to the dedication of the other building, of the beautiful temple building, back in June of 2007, and she agreed to come again. We know she enjoyed yoga because she used to come here also for yoga classes. About Senator McAuliffe, she's from the 1st District in Bothell, with an involvement in the education community spanning more than 30 years. She serves as the ranking Democratic member of the Senate Early Learning and K-12 Education Committee, and as a member of the Senate Accountability and Reform Committee. She works hard to better Washington's public schools and prepare students for a life surrounded by new and emerging technology. Rosemary is a staunch advocate for students, teachers, and parents' involvement in their children's educational careers. She lives in Bothell with her husband James, and they're both active in the community and have 6 grown children. And we just learned those were 5 boys and 1 girl. Yes, small, 14. 15 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. Rosemary is the recipient of numerous awards throughout her legislative career. She's a Democrat. She began her 5th term in the state Senate in January 2013. And prior to her service as a state lawmaker, she served on the North Shore School Board of Directors for 14 years, and she was board president for 2 years. Rosemary and her husband James are small business owners of the Hollywood Schoolhouse, a wedding, banquet, and conference facility. So she has an appreciation of facilities. And she tells me she's very proud of that business. She graduated from Seattle University with a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. And then she has this list of committees she serves on, awards and recognitions that was 2 pages long. So I am just going to introduce you to the person, Senator Rosemary.
Well, good afternoon, and it's wonderful to be here today. What an exciting day for all of us. To bring to our community of Bothell, first of all, the Ananda Meditation Temple in the year 2007. What a privilege it was to be here that day and to join with many of you to celebrate the temple coming to Bothell. Now we get to celebrate today at Yoga Hall. This is so exciting and so valuable to our Bothell community. Let me give you a little bit of history about who we are and how we started, how I came to Bothell. I came to Bothell in the 60s. It was a farming community. Everyone knew each other. Everyone helped each other. Farming communities have a way of being sure that families, friends, and neighbors join together to celebrate their lives together, to help each other when they're in need, and to care for each other mentally and physically and spiritually. That is what I see when I see the Ananda Temple and the Yoga Hall here in Bothell. You bring a rich culture to the people of our city. And I'm so proud that you chose us, the Divine Mother, as from what I heard, sent you So I want all of you to feel very much at home here and very welcome. Our Bothell community is no longer a farming community, as you can well tell, but because of the culture you bring, we'll always have that in our hearts. I've enjoyed coming up here for yoga. I loved the temple and the forest that I could always see. And while I was told I wouldn't see the forest from this yoga hall, I see beautiful greenery all around us. And I really appreciate this picture here. Whoever created this makes me feel like as we are together in yoga or in our spirit, we will open up and be warm and share each other. We all grow together. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator McAuliffe. And also mentioning this photo because I should say that this photo and that photo and that photo, the three main ones that are here permanently, were all photographs taken by Swami Kriyananda, who you met at the original dedication. He had a selection of 15,000 slides that he took through the years, and they have that special stillness and spirit in them. So now I would like to introduce you to Davina Duer. She is the Deputy Mayor of the City of Bothell. She's on the City Council, correct? Davina is an architect by profession and took office in January and became Deputy Mayor at that time. Prior to being elected to the City Council, she served as chair on the Bothell Landmark Preservation Board for 10 years and the North Shore Schools Foundation for 4 years. We have something in common with Rosemary there. The MILK Money Project, which serves students experiencing homelessness and has raised over $36,000, was founded by Davina and two other moms in 2010. And she is also the proud mother of 2 children, one of whom is here with her today, Sebastian. So, Davina?
Good afternoon. This is such a lovely day. I don't know about you, but after this week of hot weather, it feels so refreshing. In the rain. I want to thank you for having me here today. One of the real perks of being an elected official is that you get to know your community so much better. You get invited to these types of openings and have experiences that you would never have otherwise. And I'm so grateful for that because it renews my commitment. I wanted to thank you for educating me today about what your temple stands for in your community. I feel, a lot of warmth and love, and community is very important to me. That's what has propelled me to do what I've done, and so I'm very touched by your what you stand for, the goals of and values of inclusivity and sustainability and peace and love. And I just wanted to let you know I do have a little bit of background in yoga. I first started practicing on and off in college and meditating a little bit, and so I've been in and out, and I will say I still have to conquer the tree pose. I haven't quite gotten there yet.
I know this is people who can help.
I can do it for about 5 seconds, depending on which leg I'm standing on. Anyway, I just think you should be so proud of what you built here, and not just buildings, but a real community. So I'm very proud to have you in the City of Bothell. Thank you.
Now to introduce James McNeil, who is also a newly elected to the Bothell City Council, part of a wave of new leadership, I might add, that is bringing some freshness and, what's the word, transparency to the process of city government. James has a long history in construction project management, so look out, Nick. And so this is perfect, an architect, construction project manager. James has 3 children, one who's about to graduate from college and 2 twins. And he is a coach for football and Little League baseball. And I'd like to welcome James McNeil.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I will tell you I'm very excited to look out and see all the different faces here. Because to me, community is about working together, and what you guys have done here is very, very special. When I walked in the front door, I felt welcome, and that's what we need to have more of in our community, and that's why I'm excited that Bothell actually has you guys here. So I'm excited. I know it's been a long process. You guys have been Vision 35 years ago. Started your Vision 35 years ago. 2007, you finished your first, your temple, and to have the fortitude to make sure that you had the vision for the yoga hall at the same time. In construction, we know that's a big deal. If you don't think ahead, it's not going to happen. Think ahead. So I'm very excited. You know, being a newly elected council member, I had the great opportunity, as Davina said, and I don't know how to follow you because I'm not going to cry. At least not on stage. I might, after we're here. Sorry. I got to meet a lot of my friends, I call them friends now because I got to meet a lot of my neighbors, a lot of people in the community. And the one thing I learned is that we don't really know what's going on in our community unless we get out and knock on the doors and talk to each other. One of the special things as elected officials we get to do is actually go talk to kids in schools and things like that. And Rosemary, thank you very much for all your work. But as an elected official, I was able to actually go out and read to the entire second grade class in an elementary school. And when I looked across that class, I saw almost every different religion, different social backgrounds. You know, you had kids with less, kids with more. But the point is we're all different, but we're all one. And this, to me, is home. When I can come into something like this and feel welcomed and know that everybody is welcome here, that is what we need to do and work on more of in our communities. And so for that, I thank you for bringing this to our hometown. Because I've been in this area for 50 years, my entire life, and I had no idea how special this place was until today. So thank you to all of you for bringing this to Boston.
Thank you, all three of you, for being our special guests today. It's an honor for us. We have always felt, but especially now today, part of the city of Boston. I would like to transition into a bit of the highlight performance demonstration of some yoga narrated by Morley Venkatrao. And before we start that, I'd like to introduce a little bit to you of Morley. Morley is a high caste Brahmin from Bengaluru, known as Bangalore to the elite. He followed on the heels of Willow, who established the yoga teacher training after the temple was built, and has taken it to new heights because we're now in the Yoga Alliance organization. We have both 200-hour level certification and now 300 level certification. But Morley's work in the years ahead is much vaster than any of that, but you'll have to stick around and find out what that is. Because Morley has a long career and a distinguished career in Microsoft as part of the architect of software in the Office group. And this, I know, will resonate with so many of my techie friends. He is a co-inventor of MDX. Now, you know what that is. That is, of course, it is a query language. Okay, we're still with me, right? It is a query language for databases, and it's become an international standard in the meantime. But most of all, we prize Morley for his self-deprecating humor, for his wisdom, and for his friendship. And so I'd like to have Morley and this team come up here. But before I do, I just want you all to know that Michelle, who David, you've already met, and Morley are the directors of the Yoga Teacher Training Program. And their hours and days, weeks, years of commitment to the excellence of this program cannot be overstated. Both of them, as Father mentioned and Michelle earlier, have been involved with Ananda as volunteers for years and years and years. So please welcome Morley and Steve.
See if this is working. Okay. Thank you, Priman. Hi, everybody. So, why did we build this yoga hall? What's the big deal with yoga? I cut to the chase here. With the recent research, yoga has been shown to have many benefits. And I'm going to just give you a sense of a few of those. Yoga is known to help with back pain, with knee pain, with managing osteoporosis, managing diabetes, depression, anxiety, insomnia, indigestion, inflammation, ADHD, the list goes on and on. And every week, it seems that new benefits are being discovered. And all of this for what looks like stretching your hips and shoulders. What's going on? Where is the magic? So that's what we'll try to answer with the demo today. Let's take a look. This pose that you are about to see is called Padahastasana, jackknife pose. And you can see here the hamstrings are being stretched. It's the back of the legs. When the hamstrings are stretched, the low back aligns itself. It no longer rounds as much as it does. And in the long term, this is good for preventing back pain. What if you already have back pain? Well, here is a variation that you can do. This is the thing about yoga. It's accessible to anybody. This helps manage back pain and is not unlike what your doctor might suggest if you already have it. That's the physical part. Let's go one step deeper. If you keep doing this pose deeply, get into it, breathe deeply, don't be restless, and that kind of stuff, then something different begins to happen. The mind becomes peaceful, becomes relaxed. Not because we want it to, because that's how we are built. It's called a reflex. The higher centers are not involved with it. Without volition, without cognition, the mind begins to relax. Why? Because the body has become smaller. You see, the body which was this big became small. Just like when we curl up with a good book at the end of the day, we begin to feel relaxed. Nobody takes a good book and stays like this. We just curl up because we know it archetypally inside. So when the body becomes small, we relax. What happens when the body becomes big? Let's take a look. Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1, that's the name of this pose. Let's see the physical part of this. An important muscle called the psoas, right at the top of the leg, is being stretched. This prevents the low back from arching too much and therefore keeps the low back healthy. Shoulders are being stretched, neck is being stretched, so you get relief from tension headaches, migraines, long-term prevention of bursitis, all of those kinds of stuff. Physically, that should be fairly obvious. But there is more. What happens to the mind when you do this pose? You see, when we want to assert ourselves to the world, we do it this way. We become bigger. That's how we are built. So the mind, it's as if it's got a jolt of caffeine. It's re-energized, revitalized doing this pose. Okay? So as the body becomes smaller, the mind relaxes, and as the body becomes bigger, the mind becomes more energized. Let's take a look at this with our next pose. The next two poses are a little bit deep. They are advanced. The first one is called Prasarita Padottanasana. See, I grew up in India, so I feel like I can show off by pronouncing Sanskrit. And I'm going to. So in this pose, why it stands forward then, the hamstrings are being stretched even more, adductors are stretched. So if you're biking, for example, gardening, hiking, then this will keep your knees safe in the long term. The digestive organs are being toned because you can hold this pose only with the power of your belly. That should be, again, fairly obvious by visual inspection. But what's happening to the mind? The body has become even smaller now, even smaller than before. So the brain is saying, I will not have any mental burdens anymore. It's casting them aside. So at the end of this, and you can see that in the yogis' faces as they come up. They would be very relaxed if you were not laughing at them. You should try it sometime. Next pose. You'll see two different poses here. In the back, Lin and Shay are going to show you Setu Bandhasana, bridge pose. And here, Samara and Haley are going to show you Chakrasana, wheel pose. These are advanced poses. You can see that the chest is being stretched. Aorta, the big vessel that comes out of the heart, controls blood pressure, and this is telling the brain to lower blood pressure just by doing the stretch. The psoas is being stretched, so our good friend, the low back, is getting happier by the minute as they are doing these poses. But the brain is saying, I'm awake, energetic, enthusiastic. It's a big cup of coffee that's going on right here. Those of you that can do it, just try it and see how you feel at the end of it. So, the primary technique of yoga is making the body big and making the body small. You see, I'm leading up to something here. Anatomically, they have benefits. It keeps the joints healthy and digestive, good digestion and so forth. But it's the transformative power of the mind that really results in all the benefits of the yoga. So why not amplify that by affirming that state of mind? This is Balasana, child's pose, fetal position, so that we are fully withdrawn into the body, into the mind. So why not affirm it, amplify it, and these are called affirmations. It's a key technique of yoga. Every pose that you saw before, and every one you're going to see from now on, has an affirmation. The one for this pose, I relax from outer involvement into my inner haven of peace. I relax from outer involvement into my inner haven. And when you affirm that continuously, silently, then the benefits of this pose are amplified and the mind becomes really withdrawn, very, very calm. Okay, so this is the technique of yoga. You have making the body big and small using affirmations. Why does it work? What is the technology of yoga? The technology of yoga is actually very simple. It works with our inner energies, the inner vitality, which in Sanskrit is called prana, and in Chinese it's called chi, and all traditions have a name for it. This prana is intelligent, it is conscious. Left to its own devices, it is capable of keeping the body perfectly healthy. It's the link between mind and body, intent and action. In this pose, again physically, the hips are being stretched, you can see that. Shoulders are being stretched, all kinds of good things are happening just because of that. But the key to this pose is the twist in the spine. If you watch their spine, it's being twisted like a helix, like an upwardly rising spiral. That brings this energy, this inner vitality, back to its home in the spine. We are getting to a very refined concept here. When the energy comes back into its spine, into its home in the spine, we have an expanded sense of who we are. Not from an ego perspective, but the sense that we belong together. See, this is why everything you do in yoga applies to everything else. Communities apply to poses, poses apply to communities. In this pose, as the energy comes back inside, we have an expanded sense of the togetherness. So the affirmation for this pose, I radiate love and goodwill to soul friends everywhere. Now, are there poses that kind of do it all? What are the poses at the top of the yoga pyramid? Should you do some poses more than others? Well, as a yoga teacher, I don't want to say you should do some poses more than others, but I do want to say that the poses you are about to see are really incredibly beneficial, even more so than most of the others. These are called inversions, because you're completely inverted. You'll see that in a minute. I'm not kidding here. Those of you in the front, be prepared to catch them if they fall down. They draw the energy inward and upward. Let's take a look at these. In the back, here Haley and Lynn are about to do shoulder stand. Okay, this is it's a fairly deep inversion, and they need a prop for that to protect the neck. And Samara and Shay are going to do the headstand. Very deep poses. a lot of practice. They make it look easy, but it isn't. What's happening in this pose is, remember, this inner vitality, which is conscious, intelligent, is being made to flow towards the head instead of towards the feet. Physically, this is detoxifying, improves digestion, venous blood return, all kinds of good stuff. We won't go into that. But most importantly, the mind becomes very still. The mind is saying, I am he, blissful spirit, I am he. That's the sense of this pose. Now, when the mind becomes inward, when the direction of energy flow reverses, then there is silence, there is stillness. You see, in yoga, we move because we want to be still. We breathe because we want to transcend the breath. The whole point of emphasizing some aspect of who we are is merely to recognize it as an entity that's not us, and move beyond it. Ananda, which is what Freeman started out with. Going into our inner nature requires us to go away from outward manifestations. So it is in this stillness, and I'm coming back to the original question I asked. Why did we build the yoga hall? Why should you bother? Why is it so beneficial? It's because when the mind becomes still, it's no longer interfering with the intelligence of the energy. The energy can begin to heal the body in ways that are almost miraculous. Of course, nothing's a miracle when you know what's really going on, or everything's a miracle because everything's so wonderful. So this is the heart of why yoga is beneficial. We learn to be still in the most fundamental way, far beyond sleep. And it is in this stillness that we have the wellspring, fountainhead of all healing, of all the benefits yoga brings. Thank you, yogis. We are not done yet. A little bit more, I promise, just a little bit more. Yoga in a package deal. There's something that you can do which is relatively easy and incorporates everything that you saw without even needing the yoga mat. What can you do? Yoga for people on the go. What is that? Which all of us are, I guess. It's an ancient practice. It's been done for, historically, we have evidence that it's been done for at least 2,000 years. Almost definitely for more than that. It's called Surya Namaskar, sun salutations. It's done to the rising sun and the setting sun. See that beautiful picture there, the setting sun. It's sunrise and sunset are significant archetypally because they signal the start of the day and bookmark period the end of the day. The light of the sun is life-giving. It's also the light of inner wisdom. So sun salutations, take all the things that you just saw, making the body bigger and smaller, adding affirmations, all of that. And add to it a secret sauce. This is what takes the stretches and makes them something far more than that. That secret sauce is self-offering. It's gratitude. That we have the opportunity to experience each other, we have the opportunity to live out our destiny. So let's take a look at this practice. See 2 rounds of it.
Salutations to the sun, to the awakening light within, to the dawning of higher consciousness in all beings.
I'd like to conclude today our dedication with giving us each an opportunity in our own way to add our personal blessings on the yoga hall and its service to the public and to our friends and neighbors in the many, many years ahead. It is a tradition from India, and in fact a tradition in all great faith traditions, to have a word. In India, we use the word Om, and that's what we'll chant 3 times. It's equivalent to Amen, Amin, Ahum, Ahunavar, and other such sacred syllables, which essentially say, let it be so. Let it be so in the divine consciousness and to the divine will. And so we invite you all to stand. We'll ask our friends on the drums and the gongs to join us. If you'd like to do so, we're going to raise our hands and chanting Om 3 times, add our blessings.